right over.
Marketing degree.
Yeah. Know your crowd. Well, I was excited to get out here today. We had a good practice on the first phase. We kind of did a lot of our teamwork in there, but get out here in the stadium. And I know it's not a huge crowd, but we had our season ticket holder people in here, and because you get a little juice. So I thought letting you guys watch that, you kind of see how our guys. I think they do like to practice, right? This is practice number 12, and I believe we've had 12 good practices. And I explained to them Thursday post practice that's not the norm. Like, I've been around a lot of good seasons, good football teams that, championship level teams, and I don't know if I've put together 12 good practices. Like, I don't know how good it is, but I know it's a good practice. So excited to see those guys work. Have had some guys come back from injury. See Reggie Love out there today. It was really fun to see him. That's really his first full go practice. Isaiah Williams had a couple great catches on the grass in there earlier. Luke Ford had a nice day today before we came in here. So some of the guys getting back healthy. It's been really fun to watch. So overall, been pleased, and we'll open up good questions.
What does a healthy Palcho look like for you guys?
So Palcho, and I'm sure you can kind of see it even physically, is, when we got here a year ago, he was coming off the ACL, and we couldn't even touch his lower bodies, and that's where most linemen make their biggest jumps, and part of the driving force to try and get him to come back was Tank and I really talked about the lower body development we could do for him, and he has been I thought he was a good player before, but like his level of play right now is very special. He gets it. His leadership, I think, because he's always been around Doug and V, like he's never really been the guy, and like his leadership, he had a little situation on Thursday. It was awesome to see him grow, and it's just, I think, as good a player he is, I think his leadership is going to help us even more.
Isaiah talked about the offense playing a little bit faster and the threat that creates on the outside. What have you kind of seen these guys grow with the speed of the offense?
Isaiah Williams?
Yeah, just like the receivers and everyone on the outside too.
Well, yeah, I think two things, right? Most of those guys were recruited that were here before me were recruited to that type of offense, and when we transitioned back to it, I think that was something they were intrigued with. But more than anything, I think Barry's got a very clear plan that he shares with those guys. One of the things he always talks about is see fast, know fast, play fast, and they really have bought into that. I really like the way they've developed that. There's definitely a work in progress. We got to be great with the ball. We got to have great situational awareness. But I think to be able to get the ball in the perimeter in a hurry opens up things inside, and vice versa. If we're able to run well inside, it opens up things on the outside.
How would you describe Shimon Cooper's spring? I saw him with the ones a little bit today, and he's flying around.
Yeah, so Zeke and Seth, I think, have kind of really stepped up their game. Obviously, we lost two really good players in Isaiah and OC, but I would say Shimon and Alec Bryant have been the two nice surprises out of spring. Jared Beatty was doing a lot of good things in the out of season, but we obviously lost him to injury the first week. But I'd say Shimon definitely is a better home on the outside. I think he's a very intelligent player, kind of quiet, but he has enough size and length to play on the outside, and excited to see where he goes, especially I think Thursday night will be a good tell for him.
Coach, I know you wanted to get bigger on the O-line. Do you feel like you made a lot of progress in the offseason?
Bigger is obviously a nice adjective, right? But like we need to get better, right? And I think from tackle to tackle, when we're in there with our major group, right? I think there's definitely, probably 6 to maybe 7 offensive linemen in our program now that I think can play good Big Ten football. Hopefully another year with Bart, some of those guys have returned, have continued to step forward, but I'm excited to see where those guys go. I think we'll add a couple more pieces to the puzzle yet this summer. And then obviously we got 5 high school freshmen coming in.
The JUCO kid, Isaiah Adams, plugged in at right guard. What do you see from him?
Well, Isaiah and Zai, this is the first day he hasn't gone. Unfortunately, you didn't get a chance to see him, but I think Isaiah and Zai both made an immediate impact in that room. I think not just with the O-linemen, but the skill players around them realized what they could do. I've personally showed them on film doing some good things. I think both of them are big, athletic, strong players that have been a nice addition.
What have you seen from Aiden Lawfrey so far? What kind of impact do you think he's making? How has he adjusted to the college game?
Those 3 freshmen I gave you, they really just kind of, I'm sure you guys saw too in their interviews, right? They just got a little moxie to them. But Aiden Lawfrey's been really from first week to where we are today, been pretty impressive. Good hot feet, very athletic. He's got good vision. Unfortunately, he did strain his hamstring a little bit the other day, so he wasn't out there today, but he's been a steady performer all the way through, and hopefully going to be able to find a role in our offense here in the fall.
One of your former players in Arkansas passed away. I didn't know if you wanted to say anything about Brian Wallace from St. Louis.
So Tuesday I walked off the field, was told about his situation, and Hey, Coach, you're always close to those guys. So I talked to his dad yesterday at 10 in the morning. We were praying for a miracle, and then I got a call from his mom a little bit 2 hours later, and he's no longer with us. So heart goes out. Obviously, he's a CBC kid, Christian Brothers, that I went in and recruited, and I loved him because he was the first kid that we won in a recruiting battle big time at Arkansas. His dad and I were laughing. We were trying to find a good moment in a tough situation, and we talked about on sign day he was a hat guy, right? And he had the 5 hats out there, and he had told us he was picking Arkansas, but the Arkansas hat and the Alabama hat looked a lot alike on the 2As, so we came up with a way to kind of label the back of the hat and make sure he grabbed the right one. And that's kind of B-Wall at his best. A tremendous person and a great kid, and a great son, great teammate. So tough day.
We saw Daniel Edwards look like a wide receiver.
Yeah.
Is that right? And then I know Joriel's been an outside linebacker.
Yeah.
Kind of what went into some of those choices.
So Ricky moved outside linebacker going back in the fall. We obviously redshirted him, so Ricky, trying to find a spot that best fits him. So he's been playing outside linebacker, and then really Snook, Daniel Edwards. We liked where he was in the spring or in the fall. Just hasn't been able to progress maybe as well. And George McDonald's been recruiting him since we got him here, and so we moved him last week to wide receiver, and he's really looked and done a nice job. Sean Miller, unfortunately, got a little banged up today. We're kind of seeing where he's at, but those freshman wide receivers are going to have to help us.
Talk about adding him to wide receiver. What does it do? That's a position that you said is maybe a little bit thinner.
Well, we got a lot of youth, right?
Yeah.
Casey wasn't out there today, but he's on the verge of being back into it. Casey, Isaiah, for sure, Hightower and Kamari are, guys that have been around a lot, just haven't played a lot of football. So we need to keep developing depth and probably a little bit more maturity at that position. But yeah, they've been doing really good. George, is a phenomenal coach, a guy that really coaches them up every day. And I think anybody we can give him, he continues to develop them. So it's a work in progress.
And Brian seemed to have maybe a difficult Brian Hightower, excuse me. Maybe had a difficult year last year personally. What has he done this year?
High's been an impressive guy since I got here. He's a guy that I communicated with quite a bit when I first got here, and he's got a great story. Obviously, his transfer here, and he's proved himself. I've been impressed with him this spring. I know he wants to contribute more and more, and he's a big athletic. He's caught the ball well. I'm excited to see where he goes.
Luke obviously gets a lot of attention at tight end,
Yep.
but it seems like Tip can really help you a lot too when you want to go to those big 2-9.
Yeah, I think Luke, Tip, and then when we get Marquise out there, Marquise actually unfortunately had a little bit of an off-season injury or surgery that he won't be with us this spring, but it was in the fall. I think those 3 guys together, Griffin Moore's actually had a nice spring for us, playing the strengths that he plays. A former quarterback, gets it. He's got a good feel in the passing game. Barry and what he's done with the tight end position has been good. Owen Anderson unfortunately strained his quad groin the other day, so he wasn't out there today, but he'd had a nice spring. But yeah, for sure, Tip, I think about from when I first got here when he was 220 pounds, walk on for South Dakota. Now he's a married, mature 260-pound man, and he just got a lot of upside. And the great news is he's got 3 years of eligibility, and he works every day.
Last question, you guys.
Yep.
I guess kind of T-Row playing defensive tackler today. Is he kind of giving you guys that impact and depth you wanted?
T-Row?
Got him out of that?
Yeah, he has. We knew he'd be an inside guy. Was very impressed with him during the recruiting process. He's come in. He plays really good power, lower body strength, has good extension. He's bought into the way we want him to play. And I think him, Verdis, and obviously Calvin, those 3 guys, hopefully we can come up with a pool out of that group that plays well. Thank you.